Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. Now today, for us here in Europashire, and yesterday for the people in the United States of Americashire, the scenario, the Undercity scenario, the attack on Lordaeron scenario, dropped for both of us. Now, I've actually done videos from the Horde perspective and the Alliance perspective as to what I think of the actual scenario itself. I did that during the alpha/beta phases of Battle for Azeroth. So if you want to watch those videos, just go to my history and you'll find them somewhere. But too long didn't read. I really enjoyed this scenario. I thought it's a really fun scenario to do from a player's perspective. It was awesome when there's 20 people in the group as well. It felt, for once, that we were actually involved in a bit of a scuffle with the other faction, and yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I like the pacing of it. I like the different segments that we had to do, and yeah, so that's a very sort of brief overview. So instead of repeating myself from what I said in those two videos, what I'm going to do today is one thing that was missing was a couple of major cutscenes. The first one being how the Alliance got from retreating to being inside of Lordaeron, and then the cutscene at the end, which was hidden from everybody. So now that they've both been released, I'm going to give you my thoughts and feelings. And because there's a slight tweak to the Horde and the Alliance one, I'm just going to bundle it up together nice and neat. So I'm going to give an overview and then what I think. So the first cutscene is when the Alliance are forced to retreat back towards Brill over here. If you look very carefully, you'll see some chairs floating around. Sylvanas is trying to blight the whole area and destroy them, and the Alliance troops are forced right back. Anduin and Greymane a little bit pissed because the Horde have broken their lines, they've forced them back. And with this now shroud of blight around Lordaeron, they don't know how they're actually going to proceed. So something really, really bizarre happens. They hear a rumble in the sky, and then lo and behold, a ship appears, and then on the ship, we see Elsa from Frozen. Sorry? Really? Okay, apparently it's Jaina Proudmoore, but whatever. Elsa, Jaina Proudmoore, semantics. So Jaina Proudmoore turns up, as you do, flying a seaworthy ship. And first things first, we kind of knew this was going to happen from the Alliance perspective, because when you did the scenario, when you actually got to Lordaeron, there was a big ship parked outside of Lordaeron. So you're just like, what? So I was a little bit nervous about how this was going to turn out. So yesterday on stream, I said to the people watching me, I said, can you just tell me, did you find it silly or not silly? And the general consensus from the people that answered was they actually thought it looked pretty badass and that it didn't look silly at all. My personal feelings, I agree. I think it was pretty badass. I thought it looked rather cool. I thought it was a hell of a way to make an entrance. Jaina looks fantastic in her new outfit. I really like the way that they've blended the sort of Cold Terrace elements with her previous design of costume, and yeah, she looks absolutely fantastic in it. And so what happens is she does a lot of waving of the hands, sings a couple of songs for the kids. Oh no, sorry, that's Elsa. I'm trying to get them not confused. She casts this huge sort of like ring of frost. Should we call it a ring of frost? A huge ring of frost, or a huge frost nova, maybe. And it sort of pushes back the blight for now and clears an area. And then she turns the... look there, isn't that pretty? She turns the ship to the side and then starts blasting blasting open the walls of Lordaeron with some arcane cannons. We'll go with arcane cannons. So the Alliance then charge forward. They have their path, and some really good animation. Terran, well done. 10 out of 10, sir, for some phenomenal animation. And look, just look at the pretty animations from the arcane cannons. This is a really pretty gorgeous cutscene here, and they go smashing through. So it holds and maintains that mage-esque feel to the ship, while of course sort of bringing in the Colterian. Should we go with Colterian? The Colterian element. So the first cutscene I thought was very good indeed. Top marks, great entrance from Jaina, and the Alliance were in. Now let's deal with second cutscene. So I'm going to start off with the little bit extra that the Alliance get before I go to the little bit extra that the Horde get, and then the shared cutscene at the end when those two stories diverge. Not because I'm biased towards the Alliance, but let's just be honest, this is a story about the Horde. This isn't a story about the Alliance yet at all. This is a story about the Horde. So if I deal with the Alliance side first, you know, the important bit is the Horde here. I think that's a fair comment, to be honest with you. Now, first things first, there is some very interesting imagery for the Alliance. You got Anduin, Greymane, Illyria, and then Jaina. And why it's interesting is the camera shots. Because these camera shots are almost identical kind of shot for shots of the Warcraft 3 cutscene when Arthas arrives back at Lordaeron to kill his father, essentially. And it starts off with this downward from the bell tower, this downward view from the bell tower. And then Anduin walks into the courtyard. He looks up. This is what Arthas does. Arthas is being showered by citizens of Lordaeron who are scattered on either side, and they're throwing rose petals or flower petals down here into the courtyard, and Arthas like catches one and stuff. So this is again marrying that, and also when they get to the front door as well, Anduin pushes open a door, bang, and this is again exactly how Arthas enters the keep. Now, I would like there's one of two things here. Number one, which I think is the reason, and I hope it isn't, but I think it is. It's just a circle jerk. It's just a circle jerk paying homage to the Warcraft 3 cutscene. I wish Blizzard wouldn't reference themselves so often. It to me, it just comes across a little bit, you know. So I think that is the way. I think that is what they're doing here. They're kind of showing, you know, the kind of, again, I use the term juxtapositioning of the way that when Arthas arrived, Lordaeron was at its peak, and he came to dethrone his father. And then when Anduin arrives with good intentions, as opposed to Arthas's bad intentions, the place is in ruins, but they are arriving for the same reason, to depose the ruler of Lordaeron in this case. So I think it's just a circle jerk to pay homage to that. What would be clever, and to be honest with you, what if they do something like this, what this really should represent is foreshadowing. That's what it should. If you mimic an event like they've done, that really should be foreshadowing. And the focus of the foreshadowing should be Anduin. So I really hope it is the latter and not the former. But maybe because Blizzard referenced themselves so many times, maybe it is just that. But if it was the latter, it would be really interesting because we have the juxtaposition of Anduin's arrival at Lordaeron versus Arthas's Lordaeron experience. And then, of course, the foreboding of what is potentially in store for Anduin in the future going to take a sip of water. And this is where the alliance part of the scene ends. So now, if we just jump to the Horde part, because this is where the we get a little bit extra from the Horde side. The Horde retreat back into the throne room. Bane says, "Why did you leave Sarfang outside?" And Sylvanas says, "Well, because he wanted to die. He wanted his honourable death." And she said, "Feel free to go outside and join him if you want, or you can stay here and live." And he's kind of like, "For the Horde." Now, somebody said to me, "Oh, you should see how Bane responds to Sylvanas. It's really cool. He actually does sort of have a go at her." No, he doesn't. I actually think Bane comes across really badly here. He just comes across as somebody completely under the thumb and a bit of a pussy. Meow. Which I'm very disappointed with, because I think Bane Bloodhoover's got a lot of potential as a character. Potential which hasn't been locked since 2010. It hasn't been looked at since 2010. They've had 8 years to do something with this guy. Nothing. Such a shame. He's only had a very brief period in the spotlight here or there, and he just came across as an absolute pussy here, which I was very disappointed with. And then Sylvanas gives Nathanos her bow. She kind of touches him in an inappropriate manner that makes plenty of fanboys jealous, no doubt. And then she sits on the throne and awaits the Alliance arrival. This is where the two stories now merge as the Alliance come in. So the way that the scene plays out is the Alliance are coming in being all high and mighty. Sylvanas is being cool as a cucumber, so you can clearly tell she's up to something. She isn't just going to sit on the throne and wait to be taken into custody. Hello. But kind of disappointing. This is where things get disappointing for me. I'm not disappointed in the way the cutscene's been put together. I think it's a beautifully rendered cutscene, and it looks gorgeous, and I think the performances are all great and everything. But Sylvanas is just coming across so one note. So pantomime villain here. It's ridiculous. It's just like, you know, she's just missing a broomstick or something like that. I actually tweeted out a picture a few days ago when Blizzard released the Old Soldier cinematic. And I took the picture of Sylvanas looking at the burning Teldrassil, and I just photoshopped a villain moustache. And I just did a silly tweet. You can find it on my tweets. Because that's just how she's coming across now. It's just very one note, I'm bad guy. And then if you coincide that with the fact that she's pissing off people like Sarfang, she's pissing off people like Bane, it is feeling so much now like Garrosh 2.0. I can't really see any difference between the two whatsoever. And so the Alliance, Anduin's just like, look, you can either be killed or you can come into custody. It's as simple as that. And they have a banter. Everyone has banter because now Sylvanas is just a, pantomime villain. And then she springs a trap, which is that she gets close to Anduin and then turns into Banshee form so she can fly off through the ceiling, and it explodes a load of blight canisters, which just destroy the whole of Lordaeron and the surrounding area, or cover it, I should say, in blight. Jaina comes to the rescue, because this was a little bit about Jaina as well, this whole Lordaeron thing, obviously setting her up for a major role in Battle for Azeroth, one would hope. She does a teleportation in an arcane bubble, and they get out of there, and they're all on the ship, and they've got smirks and smiles and scowls and rars, and it's all very, blah, blah, blah. It's all very blah, blah, blah at the end. Oh, that's a nice glowing image there. So, yeah, I like the way that the cutscenes are put together. Sylvanas is looking so one note at the moment, which kind of goes alongside the fact that I didn't like what they did with her. And I have to highlight this. I'm not going to repeat myself too much. I'm just going to briefly touch on this. But again, it highlights for Horde players who can't follow Sarfang's example how trapped they are in this story. And that's pretty bad. That's really bad. Considering when the actual scenario is taking place, from the Horde perspective, you can choose to take a gas mask, or you can choose to take a gas mask and a blight gun and blight the area. And Sylvanas is saying, get a blight gun, kill them, kill them, kill them. And Sarfang is saying, don't get a blight gun, have honor, hero, have honor. So, you know, you have these things kind of thrown at you in the game, and then ultimately you have no decision about which way you go as a Horde player. I think that's terrible. Really terrible. And so far, Sylvanas is coming across, for me, really terrible. So please feel free to hit the dislike button, because I didn't say the words that you wanted me to say. But it's just the way I feel. So, sorry about that, folks. Well, sorry, not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. But, you know, sorry for hurting your precious little feelings. If you do. And an 8.0 doesn't do anything, like I said. So, really, we're kind of waiting for 8.1 to see some development here. So, beautifully put together cutscenes. First one I thought was excellent. Second one was very well put together. But I'm just not going along for the ride with this story at the moment at all. I think it's not coming across very well from the Horde perspective one bit. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up. And also subscribe to the channel. Follow my social media and Twitch live streaming links are in the description box. Bye for now.